Hello, hello,
Hey,
everybody.
Julie, it's Monday night.
It's Monday night domains. What a nice background you got going there.
Well, I figured I'd come to you from my vacation hideaway.
Oh, yeah, sure. That doesn't seem to be where I left you a few hours ago.
Gotcha. Is there a little delay between my video and my audio?
There was, but it seems to be better now.
Oh, good. You must have turned on the auto fix.
Sure. I did everything perfectly and thought ahead like that. Sounds about right.
It's awesome. Awesome to be on Monday night domains, talking domains.
I'm glad to have made it. For those of y'all, I went down to Tennessee for the weekend, so I just drove back up today, and I made it with about 30 minutes to spare, so that was good.
Gotcha.
I was booking it, so because I planned on leaving at 1 and then didn't leave until 1:30. So because sometimes my life doesn't always go as I plan it. If that happens to I'm sure it never happens to anyone else.
Gotcha. Hey, I got some breaking news from Monday night domains.
Okay, let's hear it.
Dynadot is out with their April specials.
Awesome.
And it looks like you will be able to transfer .com domains for $1.
What?
Unlimited domains for $1. And for each domain you transfer, you get a free Freename domain.
No way.
Yep.
Wait. So you mean .com domains? You mean transferring it to a Web3 domain? What do you mean?
No. If you have a Web3 domain, if you have a Web2 domain anywhere, you can transfer it to $1 for $1, and you get a free Freename domain to match it.
Cool.
You'll want to use promo code April Fools.
Oh no! You even had me believing it.
So anyway,
I feel like a co-host should be in on the April Fool's jokes here.
It's not as fun. I wonder if April Fools transfers around the world or not. It would be a typical American
American holiday.
Why do you guys do that? How does that make sense in the world? You know what I mean? But here in the US on April 1st, you can you have these April Fool's jokes, and some companies have carried it so far in the domain space. They'll have press releases. The best one was there was an article in Sports Illustrated about 20 years ago where they did this whole article that they had discovered this pitcher who pitched overhand like a windmill, and he threw it 130 miles an hour, and he had his head in this way, and they published it in the newspaper. And if you would read the first letter of all the words in the first paragraph, it spelled out Happy April Fool's Day, if you would have been smart enough to figure that out.
That's no fun. I've seen a few different postings that were April Fools and were fun.
Look at that domain. I was about to spend 3,000. Now I will say the idea for that April Fools came from an email that I did get from Dynadot.
I don't believe a word you say. Not anymore. You lost credibility for the rest of the day.
That their spring transfer sale is on, and you can transfer .coms for $9.49. And that is about $1 off most people's wholesale price. And for some of you, it could be even more. So let's see if I can put this in the real chat. How do I do the real chat, Julie?
I think there's a chance you've got to send it to me and then I can put it in the real chat. However, the real chat only posts to YouTube and Facebook. It does not post to LinkedIn or whatever else we're on. So if you're logging in from from something other than Facebook or YouTube, feel free to message us privately. Whoa, I highlighted the whole screen.
So Dynadot
privately or something for the code, and I'll go ahead and put it.
Hold on, I'm making sure I copy it correctly. I don't want to, get in trouble. But I do think codes are important. A lot of you have used codes at Freename, to buy TLDs. And if you think about return on investment, there's two parts of return on investment: what you spend and what you make. And if you figure that what you make is unknown, you don't know if it's going to go up or down or up a little or up a lot, the idea of spending less makes a difference. So if you're not married to a registrar, or you have names off a drop or something, to be able to move them to Dynadot, say you move 20 names at $1 each, you're like, well, that's a lot of hassle just to save $20. But what I would tell you is you can use that $20 to buy 2 new names. And who knows what those 2 new names could be worth in the future. So that's
right.
Look at it is I look at the incremental money I save with a coupon code, and then I say, don't, I could spend $20 on a soft drink or a beer at a football game, you know what I mean? But if I put it into 2 more domain names that I get to own for a full year that could sell for $1,000 or $3,000 or $5,000, now I think that's the way I think about different promo codes.
I agree. Listen, the economy's not doing great at this point. I think we're all kind of looking for, save. If you watch your dollars, the hundreds come. So I think it's awesome. I'm always down for a deal. Okay, I will never pass up an opportunity to save some cash. So that's super exciting.
When you're thinking about buying domain names, Julie, I thought as part of we've been going super digital the last couple weeks, and we're going to do some gaming coming up. But I thought I'd go back to some old school domaining education. How's that sound?
Let's talk. Let's do it.
So what I like to do when it comes to, you got to move her out of the way, Julie.
I know, I'm trying.
When it comes to where I look at where to buy domains, obviously you want to follow trends. And some of the ways I follow trends are just to Google, what are this year's summer trends, whether it's fashion or technology. What are 2025's trends? You don't want to jump on everything early, but you might find a word or a phrase that's important. I think one of them right now that's been out for a long time, but could come back, is maybe this idea of quantum computers, quantum computing. I think AI has taken it over, but I'll give you just a hint of how I would look at playing a theme like that, like quantum computing. Is one, you could go for the keywords around quantum computers, quantum mechanics, quantum learning, quantum something, the logical words. And then you could go for what I call the substitutes. Obviously, quantumcomputing.com would be a great one. You know what I mean? QC, to the extent that represents an abbreviation for quantum computing. I don't know if it does. That might be the ultimate. It would be the same as owning AI.com.
Right.
QC.com. So you think about where the pecking order is, it starts with the shortest name, like an abbreviation for what you're doing. And then you have the long spelled out.com. And then you're left with really the toughest decision, I think, for a lot of people out there when you're picking a domain name for your own business. So I'm not talking as much about speculating here as picking it for your own business. You kind of have 2 paths to go on. You can get quantum computing plus another word in, or you might be able to get quantum computing by itself in another TLD. Like originally there was quantumcomputing.net, quantumcomputing.org. I think the org is more valuable than the net these days, because you could still have a $50 million foundation or a association of quantum computing companies where the org would be their first choice. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I think that's why it's doing better than net. What are your recollections of net and org, Julie, being born in this millennium? You know what I mean? When I think about the original alternatives to com, it was net and org. And what are your recollections of net and org?
I always thought that to have a .org, you had to have like some sort of certification that you were an organization, not just like willy-nilly. And I still don't know to this day if that's true. I know with .gov you do, but I don't know who controls that.
You are exactly right, Julie. The perception is that you need to have something, and the reality is anyone can register a .org.
Interesting.
Now,
because we were taught that back when we were searching for like knowing credible sources, that a .org is more credible than a .com, but in reality, there's no difference.
And the .net was intended, not required, for companies that were operating on the internet. For instance, it used to be you connected through what's called an ISP, an internet service provider. Back in the day, we had to connect through these modems, these physical modems that went through the phone lines. And all those companies.
Is that where dial-up internet came from?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly where it came from. So I think, and then what we've had in 2014, almost 1,000 new extensions were given out, like .website is a popular one, .shop, .club, .art, and all these other options. And the
.cfd.
.cfd, which the thing that was interesting about these is that not every domain was priced the same. In .com, it doesn't matter if you own money.com or if you own, hey, how come I don't have that much money.com? Those are both renewed at the same rate each year of about $10 to $11 to $12. The registrar adds a profit on there, so you might be paying 15 or 20 or 30. But all the .coms have the same renewal rate, and that's the same as the rate you pay to register. And I know I'm doing basics here, but if you're watching,
no, we need that.
This, yeah, and you're thinking about domains, a name that's unregistered is like, and they say that domains are like digital real estate, but there's already land on all the earth. So you go to it and you say, does someone own it? But you're standing on some physical land. In domain names, every combination of numbers and letters up to 64 in length is technically available to be registered. And when you pay the $10 to $15, you now take it from being unregistered to being registered. You breathe it into existence.
Interesting.
As long as you pay the renewal for that, it'll stay alive on the internet. And then if you stop paying the renewal, it'll go back to being unregistered. So that's the life cycle of a domain name. Now, one of the things about Web3 domains, I want to thank Freename for hosting the show every week. Freename looked at the DNS system, the domain name system, and said, hey, after 30 years, there might be some ways to improve it. One, we're going to give people access to having their own top level and other domains on this new system that uses the blockchain to keep the record of where the website is for the domain or where the wallet address is. Now, the old guard, the people who are the gatekeepers of the internet, they haven't let anyone new have a new domain for 10 years. And they say they're going to start letting people have them in 2 years. And that's frankly just not fast enough for people who want to have their own namespace now.
Especially because
the good news about Freename is you can operate your own namespace now. The bad news is you don't come on the app that's pre-installed on all the phones and computers to see a certain number of domain names. You have to install an extra app. And I think a lot of people say, oh, they're not official, they're not legitimate. But all it takes is downloading an extra app. And Julie, we've talked about the fact that people are downloading apps to enhance their experience. Whether it's downloading the store that has the apps is an app, right? Google Play or Apple Play. Downloading just to do anything, to be on a social network, they want the app. To be with your bank, they want you to download the app. To go see a hotel, Hilton wants you to have the app. To buy a car, they want you to have the CarMax app. So this idea of downloading an app to be able to see a whole new world of domain names, I don't think it's a big challenge, but compared to the fact that you can do it today, and this is a long-winded story, and when you buy a blockchain domain name through Freename, you don't have renewals. Once you buy it, you own it until you transfer it to someone else. And that gives you this ability to wait and to work and to try different things, knowing that you don't have a deadline. Try something new with your TLD. Try something new with your domain name. Or wait for exciting stuff to come from others. but you've punched your ticket. You've got your name, whether it's a domain name, left of the dot, right of the dot. Like if I had page.juliejoules, that would be a full domain name, something to the left of the dot, .juliejoules. And then the other thing, like Julie owns Julie Joules, she has the top level domain, and then she makes money every time people register domains in her TLD. So that's the basics of the domain name system. And then we really want to be honest about showing you how Freename fits in there. But now you've got the ability to do it. Go ahead, Julie.
Question. I think one of the things that people are iffy about with Web3 is it's typically associated with cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, and some people tend to be hesitant on that. So can you kind of go over what Web3, how it compares to Bitcoin, how the two are associated, and how the two are not associated?
Yeah, that's a great question. The way that Web3 is like cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is that the digital representation of something is the only thing that counts because there is no physical counterpart.
Right.
Money, you have a dollar bill, you have a franc, you have a euro, you have an Aussie dollar. You know what I mean? You have it because you possess it, but you cannot put it through a computer line. You can't put it through the airwaves. When you do things online and digitally, it has to be translated into bits that can be communicated by computers. So now we're talking about whether you own something or don't own it, who keeps track? And in a lot of situations, we've let companies keep track, let Twitter, Facebook keep track of who I am and what my identity is. But because of that, they control it all. One of the big components of Web3 is that it's decentralized, meaning the programmers got together and they said, we're going to write a code that can exist on its own without people having to be there to help it. And so we all contribute the effort to make sure it works, to make sure that it doesn't have mistakes. And then whether you own something or not is kept on this ledger, kept on these books that no one is really in control of. And so there's a bigger trust factor for Web3 crypto people that if no one's in control of it, I can trust it, rather than knowing that one day Google can say, hey, we're going to charge you $30 for your email account each month. Or your bank can say you can't move more than $1,000 out of your bank. Or the US government can say, we're going to make 100 trillion more dollars than there are now. So the first thing that crypto has done in the Bitcoin especially is to say we're creating a digital asset that only has a certain amount. And whether or not you own it, you can't physically hold it, but the provenance and the certainty that you own it comes from a record on a blockchain. So if you take that into the domain world, the domains have been almost like dollars in that if you had it in your account at a registrar, that's how you owned it. And now in Web3, whether you own a domain is whether or not it's in your wallet on a blockchain. You know, there is no username and password and customer account. The blockchain keeps track of who owns what domain. And if anyone wants to see your website, they just ask the blockchain who owns it. And the blockchain says Page Howe owns pagehowe.juliejoules until I transfer it to another wallet. And then that person will own it and they can point where it goes. So I think to understand Web3 domains, you can first understand crypto, meaning something exists digitally different than whether it exists physically. And then you have the world of digital. But the idea is that it's the digital is the only thing that matters. And that comes from a blockchain record. And that's one of the components of Web3. The other one, I think, is that it's faster and it doesn't want to have rules. And it wants to be, you can change and you can invent and you can adapt and you can innovate right now without being restricted by rules and formats. Some of those rules and formats, like in domain names, are very good. If someone uses a domain name to do illegal activities that are hurting people, the registrar has to tell law enforcement who owns that domain name. I don't think a good use of Web3 is to let people operate websites that are doing illegal things. Just like Bitcoin was hampered a lot in the early days when people saw it as a way to avoid taxes or avoid getting arrested and things like that. It wasn't until that stigma that was removed that it really shot up. So that's one of the things that I think that a lot of people have different reasons. One of them is you just don't want to, you want to be able to be a little free. You want to be able to operate the domain space and not have to keep having some other authority that you never agreed to be under control your life online. And I know there's drawbacks to that, but we shouldn't not allow it to happen just because a certain group of people, and I'm part of that group. I mean, I have 25,000 domain names. So I love the existing internet the way it's going. Right. When I look at the future, I think that either Web3 domains are going to work, but especially some of the concepts that come from the creative ideas of Web3. Web 2 may come toward Web 3. Web 3 may go toward Web 2. So that's why I'm excited.
So, other question. I had one, but I forgot it. Do you have to pay taxes on cryptocurrency?
Yes. If you ever make
now,
more money, if you ever make money, at least in the U.S., you have to pay taxes on
it. Excellent. Okay. And then second question, can you buy Web3 domains without ever dealing in cryptocurrency? Can I pay with my credit card?
So the Web3 companies like Freename allow you to open an account with a username and password, and you can buy a domain name or a TLD with a credit card or with PayPal. And because you paid with traditional currency, you own it the traditional way. In your Freename account, you click My Domains or My TLDs. Now, it's only when you mint them on the blockchain that other people can access and see that you own it on the blockchain. But that doesn't mean that you can't, in essence, own it for some time in the future, just in your Freename account. So having it in your Freename account and paying with regular currency means that once you have it, no one else can have that domain name or that TLD.
But it's not on the blockchain. And is it available? Is it a public website on Web3?
No, it'll just show that it's owned by, I think, a community wallet, meaning the same thing that all the other people who own something on Freename have. But Freename announced a partnership with MetaMask last week where they're going to allow companies who want to have what's called institutional wallets own different domain names and TLDs. And I think that's a step toward the future where a company may want to own a domain name or a TLD, and they may not want to depend on an employee of the company being in charge of it and putting it in their own name. It'd be like having a company, a car that's owned by the company, and you're like, oh, just put it in my name. Well, who says they can't drive off with it and go do what they want with it? You know what I mean? And so I think that this solves the problem of having the blockchain say that, like, say our company was called, CFD domains, and you just said, well, I'll just put them in my wallet. You know what I mean? Well, as the owner of the company, I might say, well, no, I want them to be in a company wallet. Say, well, how do we do that?
Yeah.
I think that's where MetaMask Institutional is going to be pretty good.
And can that be accessed by multiple people?
That's the goal, is that you'd have what's called multi-sig wallets. And you can think about the old spy novels where one person has to put their special ring into a machine and the other person has to put in their special ring. And if they turn them at the same time, then the transaction's allowed to go through. And so I think those are some of the types of things that that you'll see happening with crypto.
Gotcha. Yeah, because if you can have your own account, because we all know how much of a pain it can be to have multiple people accessing one account just through.
And the other thing is that the email address, kind of the first big use case for domain names, has really lost a lot of its power. And what I mean by that is so many times now you log in on a website and you're immediately asked to get a text message to verify that you have that account, and you have to have access to your email to verify that it's your account. And it's kind of like, well, what was the purpose of the email in the first place? So a lot of Web3 things, and we'll talk about this a lot with John in 2 weeks about gaming. Once you've connected your wallet to what's called the DApp that you're on, distributed application, that wallet goes, that DApp goes right to your wallet like a computer program and says, yep, they own it. Yep, that's who it is. Yep, that's who it is. And it's instantaneous. You know what I mean? They don't have to do a second stage or a third stage or something like that. Now, there's a lot of responsibility with that. Make sure you keep your wallet and your password and everything. But when it comes to verifying, you don't have these extra steps.
Well, we've got 2 questions if we're in the mood for answering them.
Sure.
All right, more than SEO. For Web3 TLDs we own, which are category-based, like real world assets matches a category of crypto coins. How would you market those since such a TLD isn't only for branding or community? Thanks.
Yeah, I think if I had real world assets, the idea would be that you want to take a real world asset and use some of the speed and efficiency that the blockchain has for digital assets. And you're like, why can't we have that in the real world? So the key is once you pair, PAIR, once you connect ownership of the real world asset with the blockchain, then you can do that stuff in blockchain. So with this TLD, you may say that for people to use .real world assets for houses.real world assets or cars.real world assets, you may decide that you want to provide some type of tokenization software. And that gives you a second chance to sell someone a domain name and then sell them the ability to do what the domain name implies. Or conversely, you could promote doing, digitizing and tokenizing real world assets, and then say step 3 is, after we showed you how to do it, now go get your domain. So you can do it in any order. This is like what Julie and I do with CFD. We think that we need to build out some of our sites, sell somebody a brand called rainbow.cfd that already has clothes and pictures that can be printed on demand with rainbow on it and have the brand rainbow and the logo, and that they would fall in love with being the brand rainbow. And then the way that they control it and own it is to have the domain name. So I think that's what, if you're going for branding and community, I call those domain names in the middle purpose domains. It says what it does and it does what it says. And I think that if you can use that TLD to make money selling other services to your community, then you're free to do that.
And I think one of the other ways to kind of market that is kind of a business to business marketing.
Yeah.
Like, okay, if you get a domain that has because real world assets was just an example. So if I had refrigerators, then I would be trying to market to refrigerator companies like, okay, yes, you are Apex, but no one knows what that does. So like if you get Apex.refrigerators, like that's adding to your branding because you don't have to go into a huge description of what you're doing. Like they learn something about you just from your domain.
Right. And a brandable use. A brandable use of .refrigerator would be to make .refrigerator be like an online refrigerator, where if you were, hamburger.refrigerator, the refrigerator opened and there was that's the creative side, and then there's the logical side.
I think from my understanding, most of domaining traditionally, like back when it was Web 2, the most valuable domains were the ones that were category based, not branding or community. Like cellphones.com would be way more expensive than Verizon.com because it's like you have to build out that brand. It just says what it is. So
yeah, I see the second question. Thanks, More Than SEO. You give us some great questions. We really
appreciate seeing you
every week. Great to see you. Last week on our Twitter space, which those are Friday at 9 Eastern, 8 Central. The topic of token gating, access to newsletters could be only people that have a domain name on a TLD. And then you say, how would that work in terms of contacting SLD? I'll try to do some work on this week.
Because I want to know too.
That some of the news that came out last week was that Google is now indexing .eth domain names, which are Web3 domain names. And say I own pagehow.eth. You can type that into Google now, and it will show you my wallet, and it'll show you all the other stuff I own, and it'll even show you how much money I have in my wallet.
I don't like that. That's a little scary.
Right. And so I think what'll happen now is someone will come up with a way to block that or something like that. But if you think about it, we've opened up this world of Google searches the regular internet, just like domain names work on the regular internet. And then the leap to search Web3 isn't that much, because you have extensions like the Freename extension that open it up to be able to map things. So what I don't know is whether the computers are powerful enough to say, I want to search all the wallets that I know of that have a Freename TLD of this one. And then the other announcement that came a couple weeks ago is Ethermail, which works with Freename TLDs, I'm pretty sure, is coming about, where I can send you email. And the exciting thing about this that I really liked about it was the recipient has to have turned on that I'm willing to receive it. Mm-hmm. But you can turn on that you're willing to receive spam or unsolicited email if someone pays a certain amount of money. So think about it. You're giving them your wallet address. If they want to send an email to the wallet address, they have to send money to that wallet address, and then the email will go through. And that's the type of creativity and things that can happen along with searching TLDs for email addresses that I expect people will come up with.
So I wonder if there is, or if there will be, a way to A, get a notification, B, automate whenever someone buys a name in your TLD, automate a welcome. And this is something I want to know in Web 2 as well, because I would love to do this for .cfd. Whenever someone buys a name, they opt into being a part, like they want to get tokens, they want to be this token gated community, or they even don't even know about it. Like whenever they buy an SLD, can you automate sending them a welcome email that says, okay, hi, welcome to .girlypop. We have this token gated newsletter. If you want to be part of it, like buying this domain gave you access to that. Here's where you can sign up to do so. Because I think that's what they're saying is the hard part.
Right now, the rules keep TLDs from doing that. And what I mean by that is, if someone owns the TLD, like the operator of .cfd, and someone buys the TLD, they buy it through a registrar. And the deal that they've all worked out is that the registrar can communicate with the customer, but the registry can't. So the registry can't even say, welcome to our TLD space, because the registrar is basically saying that we brought that customer and we don't want you communicating with them, because then you might tell them to go to another registrar. So again, they're trying to protect what they have now, and it's keeping the industry from growing, because you can't build this type of community. So what you're left with is third-party services like we use to say who registered something in CFD, and then we reach out to them independently, not because we took their private information. You can't use that. You can't use the TLD operator knows what domains are on the chain, but they can only use that information to do certain things, not just to take over the customer. But if you have different services, so yes, I would say those services could easily track Freename and say, here's the new, or you can actually track it on your own if you go to Freename Explorer. But here's another thing, Julie, if you go to your TLD and you type in manage.juliejoules, you can get a list of the domain names that have been registered in your TLD. Why? Because it makes sense that the owner of the TLD should know all the domain names that exist on their TLD. Now, you may have to type them in to see who it is, but that's just common sense. And in Web3, when something is common sense, you just do it. You don't, even if the rules, because it isn't that there aren't any rules, it's that the rules that were come up with for reasons that protect the existing companies, we can throw them out the window. So I, like in .v, I have about 3,000 domain names, and I can look at my thing and see who recently bought a new one, So it's pretty exciting. And that's either in your account at Freename, or you can click on what's called the Freename Explorer. Up on top, it says who is, and you can either type in a domain name, or the default will show you what the most recent top level domains are. So what we've been doing, Julie, every week is we've been going through and looking to see what some of the most recent registrations were. And so we're kind of winding down to the end, but I wanted to do this. And so I'll be discovering this along with you guys. So I'm on Freename, and creating an account is the first thing you'll want to do on Freename, and that's free. And by creating an account, you'll be able to be eligible for a welcome code to get 25% off site-wide. And you'll just be able to see that the company is strong, it's secure, it's got a lot going for it. You can learn about things, and you can register domains even if you don't have a wallet. And so, but one of the things we're going to do tonight is we're going to click who is, and it's going to say Freename Explorer, and we can either look and see which wallet owns a certain domain name, or I can say browse all domains that have been minted on Freename. And this shows us that 13,000 TLDs have been purchased and 109,000 domain names. So if you've got any kids, you might want to put them to bed. You never know what type of words get registered out there. So we have Mr. Beast Jobs, .Mr. Beast Jobs, .Blink Charging, .Cryptos Are Us. So instead of Toys R Us, We Are All George. I wonder if that's a phrase, Julie. Have you ever heard of that one?
I haven't. I am going to guess this was minted by someone named George. Unless George is like George could be a vibe, like a George, like, if I call someone a Chad, I'm calling them like a frat boy stereotype. So maybe it's something like that. I don't know. It's funny though.
Here's hashtag We Are All George. So,
how many posts does it have?
Here's a cool one. Totally cool.
That's like girly pop. That's giving the same kind of.
Look at this one. Ticket.
That's a good one.
And this is the names that have already been purchased: NBA playoffs, World Series, Lollapalooza, Ride.ticket, General Admission.ticket. Can you see that?
All right, where's Bonnaroo.ticket?
So Panay.008, there's only 1,000, 3 numbers. So if you can build a brand around .008, make it mean whatever you want it to mean. Just think how easy it is to remember that. .new internet. Here's a chance where someone can create a whole new internet. And they say, well, how do we know that your site is new? How do we know it doesn't have data from 2010? Right, Julie? There's space junk all over the internet. You know what I mean? But you say, no, .new internet was started in 2024. Everything on this is built after 2024. .new internet. I think that's a great one.
I like that.
Def, .tarot, .witch, .hemp. I mean, again, these are 4-letter words, and they probably carried a premium of 1 to 2 to 5 to 6,000. But again, you're getting the coupon 25% off, so you can own this category. You don't have any renewals for your top level domain, and you get 50% when people buy, Arizona.hemp or sale.hemp or close.hemp or whatever they buy. You make that forever. I mean, you only get paid one time when they buy it, but as people get more and more names, let's see, .mobileye, .bchain.
That's
fun. What I mean? I mean, that's shorter than blockchain, and all of a sudden you can be .bchain and be just like you were .blockchain, which probably has 20,000 domain names on it, and you can catch up because you only paid $1,000 or something for .bchain.
What is the little blue bubble above the mean? What does that mean?
It says one domain, meaning it tells you if any domains have been registered on that TLD.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that says one domain. So we'll go one more page in, and we like doing this every Monday night just to give you an idea of what's been happening in the past week. Now, this is kind of tricky here. .DoorDash.
.DoorDash.
I have to be honest, that's definitely a trademark term. You may have some risk there, but maybe it was .DoorDash that bought it. So, I think that's it. Here's an interesting one, .jibe. again, you can brand this word whatever you want and make 50% whenever people buy in your .jive. And then your job is to build a word, a meaning for that, but you own it. You didn't have to ask somebody for ownership. You bought it and you own it and you're ready to go. You've got it, and I think it's that feeling of ownership that's so powerful.
There is quite a few TLDs that look to be companies, like Core Scientific, that's a company.
Yeah. Now here we go. Someone's going for the .ai Web3 and .web3 AI.
Yeah, they're like, okay, snatching them all up. AI.
Yeah. Let's see. We're still probably only back to last Wednesday or Thursday. .notary 911, .caterpillar, .invesco. Well, anyway, I think of all those, .ticket has got to be probably the best one.
That's a big deal. That's big talk over britches.
That's pretty good. And then .008, that's another good one. So I'll give those the red. Do your own research, see what you want to do. But when you're on the Freename page, you can either type in a domain name, like I could type in page.how. Say I wanted to be that. And it'll tell me that it'll say that page.how is $2,494, but it says that this price includes both the domain name and I would be buying the entire TLD of .how.
Oh, plus 25% off.
And I would get 25% off. And now I could have people all over the world that have the last name .how, or just people in my family, you know what I mean, have their addresses something.how. And then it tells me, if you really like the page at the beginning, that was what you want, let's show you some other ones you could get. And because page is my first name, plus it's a common word, they carry a little bit of a premium. So page.handout, page.list is, even more. Or
I think it's only a premium because of your name.
There you go. Freename will also say, here's some other TLDs that might be like .page, .acronym, .sheet, .title, .caption, .list. Now you say 20,000 for .list is a lot, but just think of all the different possible lists that could exist in the world, and people could providing the one and only Web3 list of something. You know what I mean? And now you're talking about hundreds, if not thousands, of words. Newspaper, I could get that for 4,000 minus the coupon and have people buy different newspapers. So they kind of use the words you type in to give you ideas. Now, the other thing you can do is you can type in up to 10 words here. And so I'll just type in colors and see what's going on. Julie, what's your favorite?
Purple.
Color?
Did you really have to ask that?
What are some other colors that may not be so popular?
Turquoise.
TURQ.
There's no E.
Is that tortoise?
No, there's no E. Yeah, I think that's right.
Well, we'll find out.
Jade.
And then let's say lipstick red, and let's say yellow. So I can search all those, and then it'll search for all those, and it'll tell me, okay, brown's available for 5,000. Some of these are protected, and what this means is that Freename has decided to make them available later, or they might be available in a special auction, or if you've got an idea on how to build one of these, let us know. Other times, protected means that it's already an ICANN TLD, like .gold. So Freename doesn't want to conflict with domain names that already exist in the ICANN system. .purple's available, .turquoise, .lipstick red, .yellow. So that'll give you an idea, and then it gives you other ideas. It suggests, .scarlet and .white and .maroon. And so, there's some AI work in here to kind of give you some different ideas, and then those ideas could lead you to other ideas. And so one of the things I do is if you you like it, if you have the money and manage your money wisely, but you may want to pick it up. But if not, make a list of your prospects and say, okay, these are my 3 favorite, and then keep looking. These are my 2 favorites. So that's 5. Now I want to pick the best 2 out of these 5, and then leave the other ones on the list. And if Freename comes out with a 30% coupon, then say, okay, now I'm going to get those other 2. So there's some different things you can do. But Julie, great night tonight with Monday Domains. Really want to encourage everyone to keep an eye on what Freename's doing. The 30 plus employees are working every day with integrations like the MetaMask institutional, the new extension, being able to see all the domain names with one click of one app, be able to make some of your Web 2 domain names Web 3 with Web United, the Nodo DNS system. It's almost coming out so fast that it's hard to keep track of it, but we certainly welcome you to come back and visit us every Monday night as we talk about domain names in general, Web3 domains, and also the Freename system. So thanks for sponsoring to the team at Freename. Julie, you have any final thoughts before we wrap up?
We do have one more question. Are you feeling like answering?
Sure.
All right, because I think it's a great question. Any updates on resolving any conflicting Web3 SLDs, such as if I bought Page.Metaverse on Freename, but someone else already bought the same on DecentraWeb, and if both owners created Web3 websites?
Yeah, I think that's possible. But I don't think the fact that it's possible is the end of the question. And where I think it's going to get solved is in the plugin that you're using to view the internet. You have to download a plugin to see Decentraland. You have to download a plugin to see Freename. And the Freename plugin will let you pick which one you want to see. You want to see the one by different versions. And so if you think about it, you're in charge of your own computer. This idea, it's empowering you to be able to pick which namespace you want to see. You might want to see the public namespace. You might want to say, if it's not on the public namespace, I want you to look and see if it exists anywhere else. And then you can program your little DNS app to say, if it exists somewhere else, you can either have AI determine which one's the best. You know what I mean? But if you know you like the one that maybe isn't the best, you can force it to give you that one. And that sounds like a real world approach to what's happening. Instead of maybe giving out these monopolies before the demand for these top level domains even exist. So what I think happens with the niche TLDs that you can start on Freename is you can own it. So you can, you know how it's kind of hard sometimes? How do you sell people something that doesn't exist, and how does it exist if you don't have demand and revenue? And so with ICANN, you have to apply for one, pay $300,000 or $400,000, not get revenue till way later. Here you can kind of put out a little investment to buy it and then start selling right away to use that money to build up your ideas and your community and the things that you're doing. And then you slowly kind of create your business. And I think that's more like the way a lot of businesses work. And so that's why I think it's a good way to grow it. Now, you may decide that you get enough domains that you want to have your own ICANN TLD, and you can make that decision in a couple of years. But I think, boy, the ability to get started is one of the reasons I'm excited to work with Freename. I am a paid consultant, but it's something I'm doing, for my own account. So do your own research, and we'll see everybody next week. See you, Julie.
Bye, guys. Bye.